Like I'm looking in his room. I'm looking around the corner. I'm hearing him. Am I tripping or is he there? Because people keep telling me he's there with me. He's in my heart and all that, but I don't see him. I don't feel him. And it's like a nightmare.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shauna Kalafi. Authorities in Stockton, California is still looking for answers tonight after a mass shooting over the weekend. That gunfire ringing out at a toddler's birthday party, killing 4 people, including 3 children, and injuring several others. No suspects are in custody.
Patrick Peterson walked into that banquet hall on November 29th, thinking about cake and candles. His son, Amari, 14 years old, straight A student, told his daddy he loved him that very morning, was right there beside him. 2 hours later, Patrick would be on that floor, hands covered in his boy's blood, trying to breathe life back into a body with a bullet hole right above the heart. Let me tell you something. This wasn't supposed to be how a Saturday night ended. When the clock strikes midnight, the truth comes out. I'm 12 a.m. crime, and every single day I bring you real cases of domestic violence that turn deadly. The stories the system tried to bury, the victims who deserve justice. If you're about that raw, unfiltered truth, hit subscribe. New case drops every day at midnight. Don't sleep on justice. This is 12 a.m. crime. The party was for a 2-year-old, a baby girl turning 2 at a banquet hall on Seal Avenue near Thornton Road in Stockton, California. Patrice Williams, the mother, had rented out the space, hung up balloons, ordered the cake. She wanted her daughter's 2nd birthday to be special. Families showed up. Over 50 people packed into that hall. Kids running around, adults catching up. The kind of Saturday evening where you're just trying to let your children be children. Amari Peterson was one of those kids, 14 years old, played football for the Series Junior Bulldogs, where they called him Ferrari Amari because of how fast he moved on that field. Played basketball too, had been playing for 6 years under coach Brant Nandor, who watched him grow from a little boy into what he called...
But he was like a generational player. Just the talent that he had, and not just in that. I mean, it was with football too. He had a lot of eyes on him. He was good in school, straight A student. He didn't talk back. Just honestly, just a genuine overall, just a really, just a good kid.
Every single morning, he'd tell his father Patrick, "Dad, I love you. Dad, I appreciate you." Every single night, same thing. That's who Amari was. His father Patrick brought him to the party, brought Amari's sister too. It was supposed to be a simple celebration. Be there for a couple hours, eat some cake, let the kids play, then head home. That's it. That's all it was supposed to be. But also at that party, there were others. The investigation would later reveal that known gang members were present. Whether they were invited, whether they showed up uninvited, whether somebody knew something was about to go down, none of that has been made clear. What is clear is that at around 6 p.m., just as the sun was setting on that Saturday evening, somebody decided that a room full of children was an acceptable place to open fire. Among the dozens of families, there were 3 little girls who should have gone home that night and talked about the cake they ate. Mya Lupien, 8 years old, 3rd grader at Aspire Apex Academy, loved to dance, sing, draw. She was a purple belt in karate, loved being active, excelled in school, loved her extracurricular activities. She was the kind of kid who made her teachers smile. Journey Rose Rio, Tutor Guerrero, also 8 years old, also in 3rd grade. Kind and playful, she loved coming home and telling her family about everything she learned that day. Every single day. She'd walk through that door buzzing with excitement about what her teacher said what her friends did, what she discovered. That's the kind of energy she brought into the world. And then there was Susana Archuleta, 21 years old, there with his girlfriend. Young man trying to do the right thing, trying to protect people. When the chaos erupted, Susana's family was told he put children and his girlfriend in a closet to hide, tried to shield them, tried to be the barrier between innocent lives and the violence that was about to tear through that hall. These were the people in that room. Families, children. A 2-year-old's birthday party. It started with a sound. Pop, pop, pop.
I actually thought it was my balloons popping. It was gunshots.
She actually smiled for a second, thinking somebody was messing with the decorations. Then she heard it again. Pop, 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 pop. Louder, faster. And then people started screaming. Brandon Hernandez was across the street renovating his home. He heard the shots too. Didn't think much of it at first. Stockton's a rough area. You hear things. But then he heard more. And more. And more. He'd later count at least 10 bullet holes in his house, including one that pierced straight through his back window. That's how wild the shooting was. Bullets weren't just staying inside that banquet hall. They were going everywhere. Inside, chaos. Patrick Peterson heard the first shots, and his mind went into protection mode. He had his daughter with him. He had Amari. He turned his back, trying to figure out where the shots were coming from, trying to shield his kids. And that's when he saw him. The shooter came right into that hall and just started firing, just started shooting people down. Patrick's daughter got grazed by a bullet. In the panic, in the screaming, in the bodies dropping, Patrick lost sight of Amari for a moment. Just a moment. But that moment felt like forever.
All I could see is my son crawling on the ground and me trying to resuscitate him.
That's what Patrick Peterson would later say. That's the image burned into his mind. His 14-year-old son, the boy who told him, "I love you," every morning and every night, was on that floor crawling, trying to get up, trying to move. And Patrick had to jump over the counter to get to him.
Everybody running off, and then my son is just sitting there, just crawling, trying to get up. So I got my baby. I had to hop back over the counter, and I'm trying to see what's going on with him. I'm trying to give him CPR and the bullet, and he just got blood coming out his face. And
Amari had been shot. One bullet, right above his heart. Patrick tried everything, tried to breathe life back into his son, tried to stop the bleeding, tried to will his boy back to consciousness. But Amari was dying. Right there on that banquet hall floor, in front of his father, Amari Peterson was taking his last breaths.
it's just something that a father should never have to go through.
Around them, the shooting continued. Witnesses would later tell investigators that multiple people opened fire. Not just one shooter, multiple. And people at the party? They fired back. Brandon Hernandez, the man across the street, confirmed it. They responded. People from the building responded. So now you've got a full-on shootout in a room packed with children. Over 50 shell casings would be found at the scene. Investigators determined that at least 5 different firearms were used. 5. That means at least 5 different people decided to pull triggers in a space where babies were celebrating a birthday. Mya Lupien, the 8-year-old who loved karate, was shot and killed. Journey. Rose, the 8-year-old who loved telling her family about school, was shot and killed. Susana Archuleta, the 21-year-old who tried to hide children in a closet, was shot and killed. And Amari Peterson, 14 years old, died in his father's arms. 13 other people were injured. Children from Stockton, Lodi, Modesto. Kids who went to different schools, lived in different neighborhoods, but all ended up shot at the same party. Some of them were grazed. Some of them were hit worse. but they survived. Traumatized, hurting, but alive. Patrick Peterson sat on that floor holding his son. Every time I get ready to lay down, I'm like laying over my son while he's sitting there breathing, trying to breathe. That's the memory he's stuck with. That's what replays in his head every single night. His son trying to breathe, crawling, dying. Every day he would tell me, "Dad, I love you. Dad, I appreciate you." Every night, every morning, every night, every morning, that boy would tell me he loved me. By the time law enforcement arrived, the shooters were gone. Just gone. They'd fired over 50 rounds, killed 4 people, injured 13 others, and then disappeared into the Stockton streets like ghosts. San Joaquin County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the banquet hall and walked into a scene that looked like a war zone. Blood everywhere, shell casings scattered across the floor, bodies, injured people crying out, children traumatized, and in the middle of it all, a father holding his dead son. The investigation started immediately. Crime scene techs began cataloging everything. Every bullet hole, every casing, every drop of blood. What they found painted a picture that was somehow even worse than what witnesses described. Over 50 shell casings. Sheriff's spokeswoman, Heather Brent, would later confirm that at least 5 different firearms were fired at this birthday party. 5 separate guns. That's not a random shooting. That's not one person losing control. That's coordinated violence. That's multiple people making the decision to walk into a space with children and open fire. And then investigators found something on the roof. A gun. Somebody had tossed a firearm onto the roof of the banquet hall, probably trying to get rid of evidence, trying to distance themselves from what they'd just done, like tossing a gun on a roof was going to erase the 4 bodies inside. The sheriff's office called it a targeted incident. Heather Brent addressed the media and didn't mince words.
It's devastating, it's heartbreaking that somebody showed up to a children's birthday party knowing that there was likely children and family there, and they didn't care. It was complete disregard for life.
Complete disregard for life. That's what this was. Local officials started saying it was gang-related. The whispers were already circulating in the community. Known gang members had been at the party, but the sheriff's office, they were more careful. We know that there were known gang members at this party, but we do not know whether that was the reason or the motive of this shooting. They weren't ready to confirm gang violence as the motive. Not yet. They wanted evidence, not assumptions. The problem was, getting that evidence meant getting people to talk, and in Stockton, in communities where gang violence is a reality, talking to police can be dangerous. People know things, people saw things, but fear keeps mouths shut. Still, tips started coming in. Within days, investigators had received at least 50 tips from the community. Some anonymous, some from people willing to put their names on record. The sheriff's office set up a dedicated tip line. They reviewed thousands of hours of video camera footage from the area. Traffic cameras, business security cameras, doorbell cameras, anything that might have caught someone coming or going from that banquet hall. But here's the thing, even with 50 tips, even with thousands of hours of footage, even with shell casings and a gun on the roof and witnesses who saw shooters' faces, nobody was arrested. Not that night, not the next day, not the next week. The reward money started piling up. The FBI in Sacramento put up money. Local Crime Stoppers added more. Private donors contributed. Eventually, the reward for information leading to an arrest climbed to $130,000. $130,000 for anyone willing to come forward and help solve the murders of 3 children and a young adult. Heather Brent emphasized it during press conferences. I want people to know that they can remain anonymous. They were trying to make it as safe as possible for people to come forward, trying to break through that wall of silence. Meanwhile, Patrick Peterson was living a nightmare that wouldn't end.
Like I'm looking in his room. I'm looking around the corner. I'm hearing him. Am I tripping or is he there? Because people keep telling me he's there with me. He's in my heart and all that, but I don't see him. I don't feel him. And it's just, it's like a nightmare.
Amari's bedroom still looked the same. His basketball jersey, his football cleats, his school books, everything exactly where he left it on November 29th. But Amari wasn't coming back, and Patrick couldn't process it. How do you process watching your child die? How do you process the fact that you tried to save him and couldn't? Every time I get ready to lay down, I'm like laying over my son while he's sitting there breathing, trying to breathe. That's trauma. That's the kind of mental wound that doesn't heal. Patrick wasn't just dealing with grief. He was dealing with the image of his son's final moments burned into his brain forever. And the financial strain? That was real too. Funeral costs, medical bills for his daughter who got grazed, missing work, because how do you go back to work after your child is murdered? The Peterson family was drowning. GoFundMe pages went up. The community tried to rally around them, but money doesn't bring back a son. Patrick made a public plea, stood in front of cameras, and begged the Stockton community for help. If you do know who had something to do with this, I hope that you do the right thing. The right thing. In a community where doing the right thing can get you killed, where snitching is seen as betrayal, where fear of retaliation keeps people quiet even when children are murdered. Don't be a coward and not come forward and speak, because Amari deserves you to do that. So if you don't have the courage, find somebody that can help you find it. Strong words from a father who just wanted justice, who just wanted someone to answer for why his 14-year-old son was dead, why Mya and Journey Rose and Susana were dead, why 13 other people were shot, why a 2-year-old's birthday party turned into a massacre. Moving on to the schools. The superintendent in Stockton, Michelle Rodriguez, had to address the trauma rippling through the district. Children who survived the shooting went to schools in Stockton, Lodi, and Modesto. Kids were showing up to class traumatized. Teachers were trying to figure out how to help students who just watched their friends die. More than anything, it's about having a compassionate environment, a loving environment where students, staff, and families feel connected and supported. Counselors were made available across the district. But what do you say to an 8-year-old who saw another 8-year-old get shot? What words exist for that kind of trauma? The investigation continued. Days turned into weeks. The reward money sat there. $130,000 waiting for someone brave enough to claim it. And still, no arrests. As of the last reports, not a single person has been arrested in connection with the November 29th shooting. The case remains open, active, but unsolved. The San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office continues to investigate. They're still reviewing footage, still following up on tips, still trying to piece together exactly what happened and who was responsible. But in communities like Stockton, where violence is common and cooperation with law enforcement is complicated, solving cases like this can take months, sometimes years, sometimes never. Patrick Peterson is still waiting for justice, still waiting for someone to be held accountable for his son's death, still waking up every morning expecting to hear Amari's voice saying, "Dad, I love you," only to remember that voice is gone forever. Nearly 2 weeks after the shooting, the community of Ceres gathered for a vigil. the youth football program that Amari once played for organized Ieti. Dozens of people showed up, lighting candles, praying together, crying together, supporting the Peterson family, supporting each other. Coach Joe Estrada, who'd watched Amari grow up in the series Junior Bulldogs program, broke down in tears. Amari was a wonderful kid. He was a wonderful kid, a special kid, different, great athlete. He wore number 33, Ferrari Amari, the kid who left everything on the court, who wanted to make his dad proud, who had colleges looking at him before he even finished middle school. Coach Brant Nandor, who coached Amari in basketball for 6 years, struggled to find words. He was like a generational player, just the talent that he had, and not just in that. I mean, it was with football too. He had a lot of eyes on him. But what impressed the coach most wasn't Amari's handle or his jumper. It was his heart. He wanted to be that kid that his dad could be proud of. And it's hard, man, because it's senseless. We had the whole world and just ripped from him. The coaches made a decision. They were going to dedicate the season to Amari. I know you wouldn't want people to be crying over him and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out there and we're going to dedicate this season to Amari. The football program started raising money to support the Peterson family. They planned to retire jersey number 33, a permanent reminder of the boy who should have had his whole life ahead of him. At the vigil, the calls for change echoed through the crowd. We need to come together as a community and put the guns down and help each other and love each other. Simple words, but in a community that's seen too much violence, those words carry weight. Pastor spoke at another gathering, his voice heavy with exhaustion and rage. We are tired of burying our children. We are tired of blood on our streets. We are tired of gun violence, stealing our future, our joys, our joy and our sons. Tired. That's the word that kept coming up. The community was tired. Tired of funerals. Tired of vigils. Tired of watching children get killed. Tired of the fear that keeps people from speaking up. Tired of the cycle that just keeps repeating. But hey, tired doesn't bring back Mya Lupien. Doesn't bring back her purple belt in karate or her love for drawing. Doesn't bring back Journey Rose and the excitement she had every day when she came home from school. Doesn't bring back Susana Archuleta, who died trying to protect children he didn't even know. And it sure doesn't bring back Amari Peterson. Patrick Peterson stood at his son's vigil, surrounded by people who loved Amari, and the pain on his face told the whole story. He was loved by like so many people. He loved sports. He loved football. He loved basketball. You know, he ran a little bit of track, but overall, he was just a gentle soul. And I just can't see why God would let something like this happen. Why? That's the question that haunts every parent who loses a child to violence. Why my baby? Why did this happen? Why couldn't it have been different? And for Patrick, there's the added torture of being there, of seeing it happen, of trying to save his son and failing. It's like a nightmare. That's what he said. And he's right. Except nightmares end when you wake up. This is Patrick's reality every single day. He walks past Amari's room. He hears phantom voices. He relives those final moments on an endless loop. That's not a nightmare. That's hell. The 2-year-old whose birthday was being celebrated that day. She's going to grow up hearing this story. She's going to know that 4 people died at her 2nd birthday party. That's the burden she'll carry, not her fault. None of this was her fault. But that knowledge will follow her forever. Patrice Williams, the mother who threw the party, who thought she heard balloons popping, released a statement. I'm just so shocked and lost. And I really I'm lost for words. I'm speechless. And I just want to say I'm sorry to all the mothers out there that lost their kids at my birthday party. The guilt she must feel, even though she didn't pull a trigger, even though she was just trying to celebrate her daughter, the guilt of hosting the party where children died. Make it make sense. How does a 2-year-old's birthday party end with 4 people dead and 13 wounded? How does that happen in a country where we claim to care about children? How does that happen in a community that's begging for the violence to stop? And the shooters? They're still out there, walking around Stockton, maybe laughing with friends, maybe sleeping peacefully at night. Maybe they feel remorse, maybe they don't. But they're free. While Mya, Journey Rose, Susana, and Amari are in graves. While Patrick Peterson can't close his eyes without seeing his son crawling on the ground. While 13 other people are dealing with physical and emotional scars that'll never fully heal. $130,000 sits in reward money. All someone has to do is make a phone call, anonymous if they want. Just provide information that leads to an arrest. But fear is a powerful thing. Fear of retaliation, fear of being labeled a snitch, fear that cooperation with law enforcement will make you the next target. So the case sits, open but unsolved, active but stalled, and 4 families are left to navigate grief that shouldn't exist. The Stockton Unified School District continues to provide counseling. The series Junior Bulldogs continue to honor Amari's memory. The Peterson family continues to wake up every day in a world without their son. And somewhere in Stockton, at least 5 people know exactly what happened on November 29th. They know who pulled those triggers. They know why. They know everything. But they're not talking. And that's where we are. A community demanding justice. A father begging for answers. 3 other families mourning children who should be alive. And silence. Just silence. Patrick Peterson said it best. Don't be a coward and not come forward and speak, because Amari deserves you to do that. Amari deserves justice. Mya deserves justice. Journey Rose deserves justice. Susana deserves justice. The 13 people who survived with bullets in their bodies deserve justice. The 2-year-old who has to grow up knowing her birthday is tied to a massacre deserves better. Patrice Williams, who just wanted to throw her daughter a party, deserves peace. But deserving and receiving are 2 different things. And right now, in Stockton, California, justice is still waiting. The investigation continues. Anyone with information is urged to contact the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office. Tips can be submitted anonymously. The reward money is still available. All it takes is one person with courage, one person willing to say, "I know what happened." Until then, Patrick Peterson will keep waking up to an empty house. Keep walking past Amari's room. Keep hearing his son's voice in his head saying, "Dad, I love you. Dad, I appreciate you." Every morning, every night, every morning, every night. Except now, it's just a memory. And memories don't hug back. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're telling the stories that need to be told. The ones that don't get enough attention. The ones where families are still waiting for answers. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. And if you know anything about this case, please contact the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office. Do it for Amari. Do it for Mya. Do it for Journey Rose. Do it for Susana. This is 12 a.m. Crimes, and we'll see you in the next one.